Okay, so if we're going to do SOHCAHTOA and they are asking us to find the sine of the angles based on this triangle, right? I'm going to review with you what SOHCAHTOA is. So sine means opposite over hypotenuse. So you're going to take A and you're going to draw an arrow from A, and the side that's opposite of that, that is your opposite side to A. So the sine of A is going to be opposite over hypotenuse. So that's going to be 7 over, and then which one's my hypotenuse? Which one is my hypotenuse? Yeah, 8.06. That's it. Okay, your turn. Now you find the sine of B. You find the sine of B. Opposite. Who's the opposite of B? It's 4, right? Because he's across from it. And then the hypotenuse. Who's the hypotenuse? The hypotenuse is always the longest side of your triangle, and it's the side that's it's opposite of your right angle. Yep, 8.06. All right, that's all you have to do. That's what sine is. Is everybody comfortable with sine? I don't know why, but sine is my favorite. Cosine and tangent are just kind of like eh. So for some reason I have a favorite, and sine happens to be it. Everybody okay with sine? Any questions on sine? Okay, let's practice one more time. You're gonna find the sine of A and B. Find the sine of A, then find the sine of B. Yes, sorry, this is 6.7. I switched. Very good. Some people are already putting it in the chat. Thank you so much. I'm going to tell you again, this is one of those things. If you understand this, this is the beginning of multiplication and how important multiplication was to sixth grade, seventh grade, eighth grade. This section is so important for like the rest of math. Okay, what did you guys find for sine of A? What color did I use for sine? Okay. Good. Sine of A. And you guys have to practice saying this. Say sine of A. Don't say sine. That's like you saying plus, and plus, he doesn't get to work by himself. Sine doesn't work by himself. So sine of A equals to 3 over what? Oh, 9.01. Let me check. 3 because 3 is opposite. 9.01 is your hypotenuse. Good job. All right, the sine of B. Now, because my hypotenuse is my hypotenuse, I'm going to fill them out already. 9.01, right? Who is the opposite side of B? Who is the side opposite of B? 8.5. Very good. Something that you should know. A's opposite, or the side opposite of A, is not the same as the side opposite of angle B. Does that make sense? Like, be comfortable with that. Like, don't look at a triangle and be like, Miss Johnson, which one's the opposite? Right? So opposite means across from, right? So that's like me saying, who's across? And you're like, across from what? Starbucks, In and Out. What are you talking about? Across from what, Michelle? My house? Who are we across from? Right? That's like saying in the city that we live in, who is across? Across from what? Okay. Is everybody comfortable with sine? Very good. Does everybody get sine? The hypotenuse is always the same. That's a good point. So the hypotenuse of a right triangle is the hypotenuse of the right triangle is the hypotenuse of a right triangle. But the opposite side is only opposite to a specific angle. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, let's move on to cosine. Cosine stands for adjacent over hypotenuse. Cosine stands for adjacent over hypotenuse. So I want you to remember that this word adjacent means next to. So like in the city where we live, who is adjacent to Chick-fil-A? Who is adjacent? Like what thing is adjacent to Chick-fil-A? Wait. Yeah, Downey High, good. And also, sorry, I was also thinking about the habit, right? Do you guys all see that? Yeah, very good. Okay. So adjacent just means the side that's next to. So cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So I can write the hypotenuse already because you guys already told me what my hypotenuse was, right? But which side is adjacent to angle A? Which side is adjacent to angle A? Very good. 4. Is everybody comfortable with that? Look at A, look at 4. They're adjacent to each other. Now, some of you are thinking, Miss Johnson, how come 8.06, that side, is not adjacent? Technically, it is adjacent, but he has a better name known as the hypotenuse. Does that make sense? So which side, and in reality, I should be saying which leg is adjacent to angle A, and you would say 4. So very good. You practice, you find cosine of B. You find cosine of B. You find cosine of B. What'd you guys get? That's right. That's perfect. That's right. Perfect. So far, I've got 1, 2, 3 people in the chat. That's right. I got it. So I already know that the denominator is going to be 8.06, right? You guys all comfortable with that? Yeah, because it's all over h, right? Opposite over hypotenuse or adjacent over hypotenuse. Johnson, all these people are over the hypotenuse. Yeah, the hypotenuse is a pretty big deal, by the way. So in this case, cosine's adjacent is going to be 7. Okay, let's take a second and look at this. Does anybody notice anything about our answers? Does anybody? Yes, someone says it's the same but switched. Very good. So that makes sense to me. Now see if this makes sense. Why does it make sense that cosine of A is equal to the sine of B? Why does it make sense that the cosine of A is the same as the sine of B? Very good. Someone said, because the opposite of one angle is the adjacent of the other angle. Does that make sense? So look at this side here. Look at 4. So cosine is 4 over 8.06, right? A is adjacent to that leg, 4. But that 4 is opposite of B, which means he's the sine. Does that make sense? So as a human, your job is to recognize, oh, is that by coincidence? Or is that a fact? That is a fact. Okay. You're going to try. So you do cosine of A and cosine of B. We're recording. Stop talking. All right. When you have your answers for cosine A and cosine B, don't just switch your answers. Actually find it using your triangle. All right, what'd you guys get? Cosine of A. So here's what's easy. I already know that these are 9.01. These are 9.01. Yeah, cosine of A, someone said, was 8.5 over 9.01. And cosine of B, someone said, was 3 over 9.01. Did that pattern hold where the person said they're switched? They're switched? Yeah, right? And that makes sense because, again, this guy's adjacent is that guy's opposite, right? All right. Any questions on sine and cosine? So these are all just definitions. There's nothing that like, I can't have you like, oh, let me help you figure this out. So that was kind of in the lesson. So if you want more of that, go back to the lesson. All right. TOA. TOA stands for tangent. Tangent. What do you think the O stands for? What do you think this O stands for right here? Opposite. Good. Over what? What do you think the A stands for? Adjacent. Perfect. So tangent of A is going to be the opposite over adjacent. Opposite over adjacent. So find your tangent. Opposite over adjacent. Yep, very good. Someone said, Miss Johnson, I think the tangent of A is 7 over 4. Very good. Okay, what's the tangent of B? Very good. Got a lot of people participating. Good job. Yes, very good. 4 over 7. Oops, I wrote 4 over 7 here. 4 over 7. Okay, now do you notice anything there? Do you notice any patterns there between tangent A and tangent B? Yeah, it's more of that switching, right? And it makes sense because we're going from different perspectives. So if I'm looking from A at the opposite side, it's adjacent to the other angle, which is B. All right, your turn. Practice tangent A and tangent B. Very good. All right, tangent of A, someone said was 3 over 8.5. And tangent of B, someone else said was 8.5 over 3. Okay. So this is not something that I will say is going to make a ton of sense right now. Right now, you are just practicing how to interact with sine and cosine and tangent. Okay, so very good. Keep practicing. Hold on a second.